Good morning. Good morning, Gary. What am I doing? All right. All right. So good morning, everyone. For those of you who are new to Chinrezig Institute, welcome. We normally start this set of teachings with reciting Naman Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, and then refuge and bodhicitta as a way of correcting your motivation. So if you're familiar with that, you're welcome to join us. And if not, just kick back and relax. From the heart of the savior of the 100 deities of the Shida, on the peak of cloud resembling clamped of extremely white fresh curd, king of Dhamma, omniscient and Drakpa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me on a lion throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure guru smiles with delight. Supreme fill of merit from a mind of faith, please abide for 100 eons to spread the teachings. Your holy mind is the intelligence that understands the full extent of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations in its ear ornament of those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renowned. To you are meaningful to see, hear and remember our prostrate. Pleasant drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incenses, light-scented waters, and so forth. Oceans of cloud-like offerings both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I've collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practice in this degenerate age and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the 8 worldly concerns. Sever will sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect pure holy gurus from the billion clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of the Dhammakaya, please let fall a rain of fun and extensive Dhamma upon the receptacle of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue of collected benefited teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect pure loss and Drakpa's teachings to shine forever. Sashi Poki Jushimeto Tamri Rablishi Nidegen Padi Sangye Shindu Mikte Hoa Idrokunanda Shin La Chopajo. For the merits of having offered this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 sons, may I and my family members and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of the victorious one, Losang Drakpa, who had the morality of an eminently pure way of life, was courageous in extensive conduct of the sons of the victorious ones, and accomplished the yoga of 2 stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamliya Dayami. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, hollow beams of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Sons, and combining into one, enter my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of tube of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscuration, and their imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. We will recite the 5-line Mixima verse 3 times. Mimete wate chen chen rezi, jime kimbe wambo jampe yan, dupo malu jomzi sanweda, kanche kimbe tsungye tsonga pa, losandra besham la sowa de, mimete wate chen chen rezi, jime kimbe wambo jampe yan, dupo malu jomzi sanweda, kanche kimbe tsungye tsonga pa, losandra besham la sowa de, mimete wate chen chen rezi, jime kimbe wambo jampe yan, dupo malu jomzi sanweda, kanche Gebe Tsungye Tsongapa Losandra Peshamla Soade. Chonran Sogi Chonlam La Chachu Badu Dani Kalsu Dagi Chishigi Betsonangi Rola Penchi Sange Topasho. Chonran Sogi Chonlam La Chachu Dadu Dani Kalsuchi Dagi Chishigi Betsonangi Rola Penchi Sange Topasho. Chonlan Sogi Chonlam La Chachu Badu Dani Kalsuchi Jinjagi Betsonangi Rola Penche Sange Robasho. You are right.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
평소 람름 기 삼디 아니 태보 친구 찔러야 흡줄 세티 이래셔스.
So we've been looking at a text that explains the states of the path of enlightenment. It's Lama Tsongkhapa's middling presentation of the states of the path of enlightenment. We're now looking at a text that explains the stages of training along the Mahayana way.
데려다 어쩌단 태보 친구 이또 넘버 산지비다 추 증인기 아니 강사라야 릭담아서는 이로 치니라 아니지 태보 멤버다 아니 태보 친구 어딘지 이거레스.
And so as we here look at the training along the Mahayana path, in general, as Buddhist practitioners, there are two types of Buddhist practitioners. One type of Buddhist practitioner is called a Hinayana practitioner. Another one is called a Mahayana practitioner. Here we're looking at teachings of given to Mahayana practitioners.
그러다 저단 더 대버 최종 시온 뒤에 고 맞으나 이양 비게 연지기 소리지 코딩이든지 다 연구여러 왔다 카요 말았어. 이네디 그 연지기 아니 계절이 자원이 자고 말했어. 그냥 진짜 담분이 봐. 샤용디 아니 비게 시절을 때네. 샤고라 dinang신기 로제 최종 돈이 아니 로제 체어의 총원 개발된데 연구로서 딘지기 차니 로제 총어들이야 아니 멤버당 체들이야 로제 첨부 대고 첨부 인지 딘지기 차니 더 순고레스로.
And so without understanding to a great degree what the difference is between Mahayana and Hinayana, some become a little bit divisive about it, or somewhat divisive. And it does happen that people develop this divisive or sectarian approach to these two traditions. But rather than looking at those two traditions in this way, Geshe looks at that as a mode of progression. When you take a certain course, for example, at school, and it takes a few years, then you build up your knowledge base, and in that way, your mind expands as you go from, let's say, year 1 to year 2, and so forth. So similarly, when we look at the expansion of one's mind, the mind is expanding gradually. So you can say that there is a certain mind expansion that occurs in the Hinayana, and more greater expansion that happens along the Mahayana.
그러다 Tajda manchada kengo ikirda inaya tanga sawa dindi imbana ta kandasin kyaba shagres la undi so randin samniro randin pigi miyu di randin la ya shachini an di tela ya bezun chedingi tela ya chue cheba inaya so randin di mingni chue cheba di ani tegba members shen pigi da samjan 탐지 이게 체도 아니 접자 딘지질이야 미니 아니 로종 칭인들이야 아니 대과 첨보스 딘지송고도 아스라.
And so if you're new to this division or classification, you might be wondering what differences between Mahayana and Hinayana. Well, the main difference is in terms of one's purpose. If the mind is focusing mainly on one's own purpose, one's own welfare, if that is the objective, to make the most out of one's welfare, that is regarded as a Mahayana attitude. Whereas if the objective is the welfare of others, for the purpose of others, and a training are undertaken for the sake of increasing or enhancing the welfare of others, this is a type of attitude that is called the Mahayana attitude.
어디리 딘자다 디 젠기 체도 상무다야 디 다 추 토는 시나 아니 좀 된디 추수 토는 시바나 아니 세다마선 토슈디 로 rem바다마선 토슈디 아니 젠든드 삼니 최냠는 체데 레스로 아니 다 추그 토라 게제 마셔바이나야 그냥 아주 치 미시기당 토라 상당와이나야 아니 셴든 삼퉁인기 집이 된다라야 삼퉁인기 미지긴 바이나 아니 미디 메세나라야 고양하다 아니 지 강가 총아지 강가 피기다 지 샘라야 아니 부스토 마무 용야 리 강가디 야지야다마 총족이었어레스로.
And so when we look at the levels of teachings that the Buddha gave, those teachings that are regarded as for the welfare of others, or teaching the development of an attitude that is seeking the welfare of others, is regarded to be the highest level of teachings the Buddha gave, the one that are invested in altruism and wishing to be of benefit to others. But even if we do not look at that great objective, the benefit of others from a Buddhist perspective, when we look at how this sense of seeking the purpose of others or considering the well-being of others and how it affects our life in this life, someone that is more oriented to think of the welfare of others is likely to be someone that has a mind that is more relaxed. The mind is more relaxed, more vast, more spacious. There's a lesser degree of tightness or narrow-mindedness. So it also has a positive effect over our life and mind in this life.
배낭안서 다 소수 된다 찍고 삼대바나 그래 다 소수 된다 찍고로 센디에 대한 센디 대한 소수 찍고 제대로 삼대바나 아니 가두 있나야 직 참만디와지 용대지로 미지기 남주지 땜바이나야 아니 갈직 지도 상원디 아니 셈바 마기와지 아니 콘로사야 안 차도사야 딜라 소바디 아니 조 람된라야 미니 로 레기오레스 더 딘지 톤다 마기바 마무 쇼지키 아니 고다마존다 체장엔디 람된 삼비기 로드 레스 송요레라디 오니기 삼로타니 피 냠뇽라베 직자와이나야 데자 트투게치 차간자 가주 투투게 람다 셴니가 대원대버 찍바 둥가면대버 찍바 임바 딘 통위 토니 아니 둥가면대비 셴 선자 탐제 대바데는 치마 냠비기 직 로지키에 배준지 제바이나 아니 간지 메시지 된다 된바 산지 좀 된디 공부도 두바나 메시지 된다 된바 아니 소수 메시지 데비린라야 아니 직 lo phak phebu yong ya kibu yong ya pento yo banza dinji tolate samdan tu na ani yabu be the yores ra.
So then, for instance, if our orientation is such that we are focusing mainly on our own purpose alone, or whatever we can get in this lifetime only, if that is our main orientation, there will always be something that will not work out for us, that will not be quite right. We'll be offended by the way that someone might be looking at us, or we might be thinking they are doing something in order to undermine me, they're saying something to me. So this sense of suspicion that you might have would also contribute to either aversion or hostility towards others. Also, other states of mind, jealousy and the like, will arise. So many unhappy states of mind arise from the state of mind that is mainly oriented to one's own purpose alone, or to whatever we can get from this life's affair. We can check it out based upon a personal experience and see that when we are so invested only in our own purpose, or this lifetime only, the mind tends to get uptight, and there's always something that is not quite right or doesn't really work to our satisfaction. But if we then change our orientation and recognize as much as we can that all of us as living beings are the same, recognizing the equality of everyone in wanting to be happy, seeking happiness and well-being, wanting to avoid suffering and pain, and using that as a basis for thinking, if all of us are equal, are the same in seeking happiness and well-being, may everyone be happy, may all of us, may living beings have happiness and the cause of happiness, and use that as the type of attitude that you bring into your life. At least from the point of view of being Buddhist practitioners, then your mind becoming more meaningful. In this sense, you kind of fulfill the intention of the Buddha. But also on top of that, the mind is made so much more happier, more relaxed, more calm, more spacious. That is also something that we can see, that we can assess based upon a personal experience.
Mi randin chenbu chengi mi di ani mi shembala ya tumbu chag marasra mi shembadan tumbu chag mari randin chenbu mi di mi shembala ya chi jamgyong dan kuzila soba chetu maris kansana randin chitainza randin gu sambadi shu chitainza dindri mi di ani mi shemba nyamdu changu mari tana susu sasa nyamdu na manchamba yongya zu di randin shuk chetan rangin deba shuk cheta ondi anin deba makhan wigi ta gyunze mambu shujin tongin goras ra ta din tongwala deni anin tana sasa nyamdu na dema tuyala soba ta samalo anin randin shuk chewal deni yungu yobanza anin kazu tutu ki randin ki sambadi shuk chong tang yadang shendun ki sambadi ngus kema dina mulam sunjin gyamnin draya di 아니 수준 메셀라 야비 기체무 차고레스라.
And so we can, for example, consider someone that is greatly selfish, in that they're greatly focused on their own purpose alone. Someone that has that great attitude of only invested in one's own welfare, this selfish attitude, is someone that is likely to be not much compatible with others, without a great ability to be affectionate with others, to have a sense of appreciation and respect to others. So in general, with that sense of self-centeredness or selfishness, we'll find it difficult to get along with people around us. But also, even in our own personal relationship, in that close unit of our close relationship, it'll be difficult to get along long-term with our partner if we have that selfish attitude, to the point where it is likely also to be a major factor contributing to breakup if we are so selfish or seeking our own purpose alone. So then when we recognize that, our goal is to decrease that self-centeredness, selfishness, and to increase the mind that is caring for others, that is seeking the benefit of others, beginning with at least making aspirations to be able to do so.
Tiresha dinza pena randu shukchi tawondi ani sobogom thugumda asra. The sobogom matu savi jela ani nganzo the sanji songre nganzo khoa ba set. Nganzo dungar ginele ya ken deyo banza kanni yina chamandi waji yonchokcho sajik sala yobanza the jig sosem tes tematu wena ani bed nyokdra rewasra. The randu shukchi tawondi ani sosem tematu. Ra sobogom matu di ani des kenchinju jige ani dunga chimbu soja gorasra chamandi wa chimbu soja gorasra is a sanji chue nalola ya sobogom ya di kechimbu shuchik and did the nyam the Suzuki pigi that lenny number jibi namchi sheriff singing be kechimbu song yores.
And so someone that has the strong sense of self-centeredness is also to be likely someone that is not that capable of cultivating patience, being patient with others. So as the Buddha said in his teachings, considering our situation as samsaric beings, those that were born into this samsaric state, suffering arises for us. There's always, we're born into this state of suffering. So there's always something that will be not right for us. There'll always be problems because this is the state that we are born into. And so without having patience, there'll always be problems for us. Small conditions are encountered, and without patience, they become great suffering. And therefore, it is said that patience is important, and also wisdom that can clearly distinguish between what is positive and what is negative is crucial.
대저다 간지 디 사제디 대버침부 찔러 럽수 쓰라원디 아니 대버침부디 남주 용인기 아니 지 소섬된 퉁인기 젠든 썸 퉁인기 깨우디기 쌈바텔이야 간다스 러고 그래서 단다 디레도 왔어라 딘지질이야 간다지 러고 그래서 라원디다 디송거다 신통사 대버침부 숨발니 택진 찔러 럽수 개발도지 대발 럽수로세
Okay. The Geshe chuba chila laptu sheba dirba. Okay. And so this is important, particularly when we try, when we train in general in the Mahayana way. So bringing this attitude into a practice, an attitude that is focused on the welfare of others rather than mainly invested in our own welfare is crucial for our training in the Mahayana way.
terda denema sumbalani tikchin chilal hapsul kabar dorje tembalal zulo tambolo sum chansum gilabala lomde jamwatang jani gasi gi domboson sonni chidar labi tsulo tamboni do da nga ni la tambo rangi dombo mason bal havja nam yendu moron yangs dene teda da mindates Mondulajanam shiver chedi gyujani teni zimbar towana domba bova inos.
And so beginning with the section that explains training in the perfection and gathering disciples as the training that we undertake in the Mahayana, along the Mahayana way, first off, we look at the explanation of the actual stages of training in the precepts. And this section has 2 points: how to train in the Mahayana in general and how to train in the Vajrayana in particular. Let's start with how to train in the Mahayana in general. This has 3 points: developing the wish to train in the precepts of bodhisattvas, taking the vow of the victor's children after developing the wish, and training in the vows after taking them. First off, developing the wish to train in the precepts of bodhisattvas says, it is inappropriate to study the precepts of the Vinaya and Tantra without taking the respective vows. But these present precepts are different. First, you come to understand the precepts so that your mind stream is purified. Then if you feel enthusiasm for holding them, the vows are imparted on you.
그래서 되나 랍잔남 시버 체데 이유도 체네 대달라 닌타바네 좀도 잔데 동발라나 신도 템베 되는 탑 상보스 록타임.
Yeah. Then if you feel, sorry, we'll read through that, they will be very stable if you bring them to mind as an object after having understood the precepts, develop a heartfelt desire to train in them, and then take the vows. This is why it is a good method.
이제단 디조 네바 치는데 야부 페로 당한조 페난도와 당가니라 랑기 동바 마송바 랍자는 년도 모롱 세디 개침부 빼차고 그랬어. 빼나다 개초는 그 동발랭을 써봐. 아니 지 나기 동바 송양을 써봐. 아니 딘지 까울이야. 빼나 개초는 그 동바다 아니 산지 제바레스. 산지 제바조 산지 제바. 아니 개초는 그 동바 마시콩 아니 랍자라 랍니 되니 동발랭이나 동바 끼야 가고 치고도 인자 두소페 키챵뭐 다가서 가시가시 두다 비기다 잡 총동이 딘데 용거라서 봐 가르치고나 비길라우자 간 이파스 케제티 주 딘디 제고고요 말이야 제나 아니 가샤 소리 저런도다.
So one point that we can pull up from this section regarding the trainings or the precepts that we undertake is the attitude that we develop in the Vinaya system, the Tantric system, in comparison with the Bodhisattva vow. So we have those two traditions, the Vinaya traditions and the Tantric tradition. So in the Vinaya tradition, we have different sets of vows. Some of them are ordination vows for either novice ordinations or for full ordinations. Also, on the other hand, we have the Tantric vow. Something that is common to all of them is it is not appropriate to be taught the precepts included in these vows without having first of taken the vows. So you're not allowed, you're not supposed, you're not permitted to study the vow before you take the vow. Whereas here the attitude is different. So before we get here to the attitude here in relation to the Bodhisattva vow, for example, if you're seeking, if you're interested in ordination and thinking that maybe ordination will work for me, but first off, before taking an ordination vow, I have to study all the vows and know all the details, all the different precepts in details. Well, it is not really permitted to teach all the fine details before one takes the vows.
Derrida, the Nibanese Tsultrim live Javar Tambu Chidr Land Luktan, Tematani, Zadon the Niji, Tonam, Son Sultan, Nyamna Chichulunum, gave a tenla Pubsumbi, Dombal Limbing, Harodu, Niva Tagubi, Terry Shiva Chavos, the Jermujma, Givuchin, Soma Tsultrim living at that, and the Sishi, Tava Yobanza, and Delia, the seashores.
And so next the text says, taking the vows of the victor's children after developing the wish. In my commentary on the ethics chapter of Asanga's Bodhisattva levels, I've already extensively determined how to first take the vows, how to then guard against the rude downfalls and infractions that are misdeeds, and how to restore the vows if they have degenerated. Therefore, since the vows certainly need to be looked into before they are taken, consult that source to understand these points.
다 숨바디 숨발라 숨스 강랄라비 시 데르라반 남디스 데라 제달라비 름바오스 당분의 사위 예원 타이장 더 잔주선비 라우절라야지 사위 예원 타이장 릭수 되나 아니 전소파신 주든 또 잔주선비 라우절는 되비 친주네 장섬 길람기 내 타다 되비 domchembos.
So then training in the vows after taking them has 3 points: the foundation of the precepts, how the precepts are contained in it, and the stages of training, beginning with the foundation of the precepts. Although there are infinite clear divisions when grouped together by type, all the precepts of bodhisattvas are contained in the 6 perfections. Therefore, the 6 perfections constitute the great synopsis that condenses all the essential points of the bodhisattva path.
데르다 친루피게 점bat Tsultrim sobat zondu samden sherab. 디 나라야 내가 탐지 잔주선비기 다 랍자 아니 내가 탐지 디 죽난다 뉴그레스라 디 죽디 수신도다 냠스 랑바이나 데니 딜라 잔주선비 람라 랍수치 용고요 말했으라.
And so here this section speaks of the training in the 6 perfections. So training in generosity, training in ethics, in patience, in joyous effort, in concentration, and in wisdom. So all the trainings, all the precepts of bodhisattvas are included within this list of 6. And if we don't train in generosity, ethics, patience, joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom, there's no other bodhisattva training that can be undertaken.
난 지금스우비어 다 니발라니스 무기 장에 봐 샬라 고름게 봐 죽도 장에 봐다 한번 좀 된데 이 친구기 dom좀 제발라 라 dom좀 비기다 진속하신 죽슨 봐 아니 민좀 되는 샤바 될야 아니 자주 참방건배게 아니 대들 제비 균생기 내노 공부신 짜는다 산지 좀 된데 공부하신 맞다니 니시기반에 장이 좀 되는 임베 대달라 이 초빙이 봐니나 친구기 냠는라 담비 촉든 전바이노 인지리 촉든 전노스 담비 촉든 전노.
And so how the precepts are contained in the 6 perfections has 2 points: the main topic, which is the specific number of perfections, and a secondary discussion after their specific order. So when we look at the specific number of perfections as the main topic, it says the Blessed One, the Bhagavan, made just a synopsis of the 6 perfections, which means just giving a list, beginning with generosity, whereas Maitreya, the holy regent of the victors, established certainty in them by elucidating, as they had been intended, the essential points amongst the reasons for their formulation. They account for how the number was specific. Therefore, when you find certainty about this in a way that captivates the mind, you will hold the practice of the 6 perfections as supreme instructions.
Della truth 그 장에서 대 걸되는 장에 샤바레스 라운드다 온톨 때바 대니 드벌 때바 젠더 넘버 탐지 조버 드벌 때바 tikchen 탐지 드벌 때바 당 라몬 탑지 넘버 탐지비 온드 제비 당 라버손 때비 장에 보스.
And so the 6 perfections are enumerated as 6, or the perfections are enumerated as 6. It is a definite number. So when it's the next instruction says the number of the perfections is specified as 6 from the points of view of 1, high status. The second is the accomplishment of the 2 welfares. The third reason is the complete accomplishment of the welfare of others in all aspects. The fourth is their comprising in the entire Mahayana. Then the influence in all aspects of the path of method. And finally, the three trainings.
담보니 찬주 이쪽발랍 채와 남 조발라 세르망부 균골라스 대양 람기 사주옹발라 땐 생이 용조 제메바 다다비 땐 덴자와 차리리 점여비 드브경 보지연 민템비 땐 차탐제니 푸숨 푼속시 고소스.
And so when we begin with the numbers specified from the point of view of high status, it says to bring the vast conduct of a bodhisattva to completion. You need many consecutive lives, and to progress along the path in them, you need a life totally complete in all excellent characteristics. Without it, even if you practice with something that merely has some excellent aspects like our current life, there will be no progress whatsoever. Thus, a life that is excellent in all aspects is necessary.
Derda jinso pashin chula pa goshe gyavni jarna jar chogore sira ten pusum soba ngun tugi ngun to lada mi ten so di ani mi ten ten pigi ta ji dajin joji tsawi luden tendiji ani kewa chik zamayin ba kewa ni kewa gyuni ani luden tendiji lanya laya döni da Tsultrim di songbarawas ra ngondu gyunu Tsultrim neshin mes bandin dawa chawe da tuda jen songshaba di o dichaga waras.
And so here, this section says that in order to attain a higher status rebirth, which means being born as a human being or being born in a higher state of existence, we need the practice of the six perfections, just such as generosity. And so when we think of what is the connection between the six perfections and seeking a higher status rebirth as a human being and so forth, well, first off, the basis for being born as a human being, having a human basis, is guarding ethical discipline. Ethics is required in order to attain this working basis as a human being, a human body. Now, our goal is not just to attain a human body just once, but we want to go through a succession of life for one after the next in order to in all of them to have this human rebirth, so that we can use a body of a human beings to continue with our practice. So as Chandrakiri said in his supplement to the Middle Way, one of the chapters, for attaining a human body, there is nothing better or nothing higher than ethical discipline.
Tirda nganzo chidang ngonto sayadi mida lai tenlaya ngontos ngombor towas ro tondo da nyewala soba dita membi tenlaya si kasana 소소소기 남주 배주 체제네 디트투 말았다죠 랑싱기 된 비기 된 약부지 드투면서 된 멤버라야 지금도 딘디기 된 아니 온돌하다 미기 된 썸마인바 아니 산지 좀 된 디기 있다 아니 마된 샤비기 딘디기 대바친 비기 추주 차 상황지 아니 년통에 썸통에 gom tungin ki tindri ki tenji laya keva laya ani Tsultrim namba tabi shi ma sona yungu yo mares tindri ki ta Tsultrim namba tabi shi son se Tsultrim di yanchi ya tombo pena getsolong ku domba taw yinchi mi goya tindri insa mares pena genyin namda achi tone drona ya ko yung chogo sares ra.
So this section explains the connection between the practice of the 6 perfections and attaining a high status rebirth. So high status rebirth is regarded as being born as a human being or being born in a godly state of existence as a deva. So then when we distinguish between high status rebirth and rebirth which is not a high status rebirth, like for example being born as an animal, if you're born as an animal, you won't have the capacity to use your wisdom or the intelligence to develop your mind in that state of rebirth. Whereas being born as a human being, we have not only a capacity to use our wisdom or intelligence to a greater extent, but also particularly in terms of practicing the Buddha Dharma, and even more so the Mahayana Dharma. On the basis of having a human body, we can use the mind to study the Mahayana Dharma, to contemplate the Mahayana Dharma and put it into practice. And so in order to make sure that we have such a human rebirth that makes it possible to study, reflect, and meditate on those teachings, we need to have guarded pure ethical discipline. Without guarding pure ethical discipline, we will not be able to secure this good working basis for doing so. And so one might think that to guard pure ethical discipline means that you need to become ordained and guard a vow of ordination purely. Well, this is not the case. You can also do it as a lay person. So we have also we have vows for lay practitioners. You can take, for example, the vow of approaching virtue, which is also called the refuge vow. So you can take the vow of approaching virtue and guard that purely, and that is the basis for attaining a higher status rebirth as a human being.
Terida ganji mandala ya kamru yabu chiro kamru yabu chimena the daji joju sami luden toyadi kabu pechago res ro pida ji ani sanji chöda cheba sanji chöding gi lama gewishi ni den cheba sanji chö yosajile ya ani kewala soba di ani sanji le iche mena ro sanji 점된 de le iche mena 이제 대범면은 딘디기에 백하고로서 인제 딘디 이치 약부 지어봐야나 겸로 약부 지어봐야나 아니 개원이 개원 준치네 아니 산지기 취하던 자야지 그 규여반자 아니 제부디 주구여로서
And so we can also add to that we need to have a good sense of refuge. Without going for refuge, it would be hard to have this succession of human rebirth in which we meet the Dhamma, we encounter a spiritual friend, we encounter a spiritual friend from the Mahayana, we listen to teachings. In order for that to occur, to meet the Dhamma again, to meet spiritual teachers again, to be taught the Buddha Dhamma, we also need to have a degree of trust in them, to trust in the Dhamma, trust in the virtuous friend, without which, even if we have such conditions around us, it is likely that our mind would not be receptive to that, will not be inclined to listen to teachings and so forth without having a sense of trust in them. So therefore, on top of saying that we need pure ethical discipline in order to secure a succession of good working bases as human beings, Geshe reckons that we can also include refuge in that. Refuge is also important in relation to having a succession of lifetimes in which, again, we experience the result of being connected with the Dhamma.
산지기 취해나와야 균제세야디 개체무시로 쓰여라서라 균제기에 가서다 균제기에 라왈레 만데와치 균제기 나로라야 추고다더라 인자 산지기 취여서 지게야야 딩지기에 유카르고르슬라나 산지레야 대버지 쓰지디 예비기 아니 대버지 건도 조고 그랬어 딘지 규치에는 아니 산지기 취여서질래야 끼그리스 나월다 아니 더 딘지 규치디 아니 산지기 때문에 추군줄라야 샘딩기 이체 여봐야나 아니 추 비기게 아니 추 라버숨 조제 치비게 아니 데누 투야기 아 뒤직 샬고서라 다로 아니 겐든라야 이치요나 아니 추드비 다로 아니 겐든 건조단 체야라 소바 간지 디그 균데그 로단지레도서라 균데그 로단 디 추니그 로단지레마도 디 가서 데미 원용이 지금 쇠자교도 딘디 계절해마도 서라.
And so in the Buddhist tradition, whatever we speak of is within the framework of causes and results. This is really important for us, causes and results. So whatever we speak of here in the Buddhist tradition does not fall on outside of the fence of cause and effect, and particularly of karma. Nothing falls outside of karma. Everything that we do is within the confines of karma. And so when we think of going for refuge, beginning with going for refuge to the Buddha, so we have that deep sense of faith in the Buddha, or deep sense of faith in the three objects of refuge, so that through cultivating such causes, it is likely that we'll have a greater chance to experience the results of being born into a life in which we will again be surrounded by the Dhamma, we will encounter the Dhamma. And if we have heartfelt trust in this second object of refuge, the Dhamma, then it is likely that our mind will be open to listen to teachings from the three collections of teachings, the three Pitakas, that will teach us the three trainings that we will undertake. Also, we need the assistance of the Sangha, the third objects of refuge. And so if we also have no trust or faith in the three objects of refuge, then we also cultivate the results, cultivate the causes bringing about the result of encountering the Sangha, having around us those that can assist us in cultivating the refuge in ourselves. So all those things will occur naturally through going for refuge. So we call it through the power of nature, or through the power of things as they are, rather than being forced to believe in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, or to encounter the Dhamma and so forth. If we cultivate in ourselves the causes for that to occur through, you can say, natural process, the results will take effect.
데리다 비게 다견조 준사위 르데 로 간지 산지기 취 여사 산지기 취 아니 땡행기 라마기 위신이던 테발로 소바 저기 아니 견도 근조던 테발로 소바 안 딘디지 여바이나야 차견지 만사나 로 차견지 만사나 야 깔가고 차고라서 딘자 부숨 소바세야 땡차 탐진이 분속시고 세야게 부숨 소바디 가르스나 베나지 데사 아니 직사양 통야 아니 그냥이 제니 비기 남긴 타니스 말롱세거라 아니 타니스 말롱 직메나 안간줄로니 제 최드야 깔가고 차건자 딘지기 타니스 말롱 직 고그레스 부숨 소바지 다 딘지 용야라야 론츠 량칸 안지 그냥라 소바 디기 아니 론츠 부숨 소바지 용야라야 규고그레스 규카르레 민고고다 아니 배 한바시 아니 딘지기 체그마르스다 규디 짐바타얀드레스 로 깨원이 깨워주니 아니 론츠고 마포와지 용거나 아니 짐바야고 스탄고 그레스 짐비냠네 송고도 아스로.
And so we need a basis, a human basis, a good working basis, a basis that we call a human body with freedoms and richnesses, the 8 states of freedoms and the 10 richnesses. Not only we need to have this working basis, but also we need to have this situation where we meet a Lama, a virtuous friend. We also need Dhamma friends, or the Sangha around us, to assist us in our practice. So we might have cultivated these causes, but we can still say that it's not enough just by itself, because without having enough conducive conditions in our life, it will still hard going. So we need to have excellent condition, excellent circumstance in order to make the most out of it. So it means that we need to have somewhere to live. We need to have enough food. We need to have enough clothing. And we sometimes say that we need to not fall into two extremes of having nothing whatsoever or having too much. So we need a situation where we do not fall into an extreme situation, because if we do, then that would be hard going. It will make it much harder to make the most out of this opportunity, which means that we need to have enough utilities or resources at our disposals. We need a place to stay. We need to have enough food and clothing and so forth. For that, we need to cultivate the right causes for that, in that to obtain them rather than obtaining them through deceiving others or bullying others, abusing others, and so forth. We want to obtain those things through cultivating the causes for them. And the cause for that is generosity.
Terda, Dinza, that Dinjigi, that Jimbatan, and it's the Yamne Yabuji Yonelaya, and it Dungar Tanning Sobatan, and it Gaval Trui, Sonji Mena, Kabuinza, and Dini Tangodas, Dini Tangores.
And so we need generosity, and we also need ethics. But without having perseverance, without having forbearance, without being patient, and being able to work with sufferings when they are encountered, and also without being able to persevere, to work diligently, to have joyous effort, it'd be difficult to cultivate those causes. So not only we need generosity and ethics, we also need patience and joyous effort.
Longju Chimbun Jongalaya, Jimbatangoya, Mundu Samsadachi. Kasana Tsin D now, Tanganzu Kiawan Hamigi, and Garden Denny, Kiawan Hamigi, Denti, Tachi, and Big Tsultrim Soya, and Jimbatangla Soba, Del Denny, and the Tada Miki, Mi Dendi, Kopusum Sobachi, Chayores, the Roa, and the Dendi, Judy, Kiawan Hamani Sasha, Shemado. And the same deal, and Mululaya, Gus and Sendelaya, Mululan said you maros. The deans that Dandi Dendi, Chi Sozolaya, Jupenju, Sukana Regu, me some chene, Kajun Majon Tavaina, and it gave Chimakang and the Tsuya, Gasha Gatamata, Sungudosra.
And so we might be thinking that actually I've got what I need in this life. All my resources are complete. I don't need to practice generosity because I've already got it. Well, this is not the case, because whatever we have in this life is a result of something that we have cultivated in past lives. We have guarded ethical discipline. We have practiced generosity in past lives, and depends upon which we have this good working basis in this life. Without that, we will not have been able to take a human rebirth, to have a human body such as the one that we have in this life. So, and then if you think that I've got many things, I've got much, I don't need to be generous, this is a kind of thought that is detrimental to us, because through not cultivating causes for a good status rebirth, having good human body, good human rebirth in the future, afforded by generosity and ethics and so forth, such human rebirth will not take effect. So it's a mistake to think that since I have so much in this life, my situation is good, I don't need to practice generosity and the rest.
The Sherabiona, Tintigipe, and some down to us, Tandi said the Laya, for some Soyati, and it gave Hami Tenlia, and Tsultrim Soya, Jimbatan Soba, and it Samba Namdal Den, Choa in Bati, and it Sherab Den, the Pogor Mother Shamba, 안주 비기 미기 술을 대자와난 신지 통해요 말아. 딘지기 레템비 아니 셔럽디 아니 다디 균짠 개왕마 지 야부치와난 신기 아니 세델에 야부치와나 아니 개워치마 야부용야 아니 드니 개워니 개워 균이 야부용야디 지헬이야 아니 셔럽을 라리기도 하스라 인자 셔럽 다 셔럽디 템부 야부치 용야디 something 라리고레스 Tenza da tindri chen da jinso pashin chuki nyamnen di tandi kongdela ya ngonto lo deba ani chik ani shendon lo deba ani tenyi tajima lo deba sayadi o tindri toni da ani jinso pashin chuki sungudo asira.
And we also need wisdom. We also need wisdom that can think through whatever we need in order to make sure that we secure this good succession for future lifetimes and beyond. So we need the wisdom that can work it out, that can work out what would be this scenario in which we create all those perfect, excellent conditions in terms of guarding ethical discipline, practicing generosity, being genuine and honest with what we do. We need to create all these conditions of ethics, generosity, having this highest intention or being genuine in order to create those perfect situations, and wisdom need to work it out. It's not that this explanation is completely evident to us as if we can look at a mirror and immediately see our face in the mirror. It's not like that. We need to work out what we need to do in order to secure a good succession of future lifetimes so that we can continue to develop our mind. And wisdom is crucial for working it out. So if we do it well, then we can secure a good succession of good lifetimes. And to develop that wisdom, to become stable, to become clear, we need also to have concentration. The fifth perfection, which is called either concentration or absorption, we need that in order to support a stable and clear wisdom. And therefore, when we think of how the practice of sixth perfection is relevant to attaining a good status rebirth in future life, we can understand the presentation that Lama Tsongkhapa explains that, as it does that in different ways. He says that first of all, you can see how it is relevant to a good status rebirth in future life, how it is necessary in order to accomplish the two purposes, how it is necessary in order to completely fulfill the welfare of others, how everything is included, how it includes everything within the Mahayana, and how it is complete in all the aspects of the path, and how it is also relevant to the three trainings.
대다 부숨 초보점 기경 니무 기견도 망외스라 롱주 부숨 초보지 아니 땡 부숨 초보지 아니 찬자 좀 대화지 여바 있는 양스 아니 부숨 초보점기 다 같이 쉐어 거를 쓴 거를 니무 기견도 망외스 라간도 니무 기견도디 용어도 하서라데 롱주 데스 여바나 안 델레 템비 따지 차다 모성 폐약이 균줘야마도 디치 냐운네치에 줄이야 땅토에 배 카고로 와서 니무 견도 마음에테 니무 온도 문로와다 디장 무초베 란도르지 내남라 신지 말로번 죽진 도비 미 레버 치워시 고데스 젠도나 미마탄 추신 랑긴 제부 차바탄 지우모 준비 라바터 폰소 대니기 라버는 유비 체로스
And so we start to read through this section. It says, thus a life that is excellent in all its aspects is necessary. To elaborate, you need a life that is endowed with the four excellences: wealth at your disposal, a body with which to practice, companions with whom to practice, and the ability to complete the actions you undertake. However, many things become conditions for the mental afflictions simply because they're excellent. Like, for example, in the previous section, it said that we need wealth at our disposal to have a body that is endowed with these excellences. So wealth on its own can also be a condition for afflictions. Like, for example, with a great sense of attachment, we can become completely consumed in the pursuit of wealth and so forth in this life. So they can also become conditions for the afflictions. This is also necessary not to come under the power of the mental affliction. Thus it is also necessary not to come under the power of the mental afflictions. But that is not enough either. You must differentiate well the objects that are to be unmistakably engaged in and turned away from with respect to what should be adopted and what should be discarded. Otherwise, the excellences will destroy you, just like bamboo and plantain trees are destroyed by bearing fruit, and like a young molly mule is destroyed by pregnancy.
Chitang mi ya wajimana benjo tes lava leva na ani lamsna meeting given rojaya ani marab pege chia ani senakia teni mabis soya ro ani benjo thongi ani mitembu shujimena ani benjo lava leondi be duja cha ro ro ani tinza nimun kyen ro mames the di mandroya ani sherab goda da namju gogrmato ani phosum sobadi lonju phosum sobadi ani so laya gyundrowa ina ta phangbu shojira ra this da.
So this point that this text makes in mentioning those excellent conditions, that in some scenarios, under some conditions can become quite negative or damaging to us, is something that rings true. When we think of, for example, the destruction that we visit upon the world at the present, it seems that the more wealthy we become, the more detrimental we are to the world around us. It can happen. So if you had not much before and all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation of abundance, it is possible that it will make you change your attitude or behavior and so forth. You'll start behaving in a negative way, not abstaining from lying to others or cheating others and so forth. So such conditions of kind of becoming wealthy, for example, can turn bad for us in terms of our attitude or behavior. So we then have to be careful to make sure that that does not happen. To make sure that that does not happen, we need wisdom.
Tere bena da junso bhajan tu sondi bena Tsultrim jimba ra jimbi muntu shoto de senare ndas ra senagi ani jimbi nyamlendi cheju yo marada da sena di ani pi gyupenjuleni senagi loki war mato menginjla ya senagi loki yo marasra tinza gyupenjula teni jimbi nyamle laya nyenga bechemodo an Tsultrim muntu shoto desharada tan deshala teni Tsultrim di nyamcha rogarada tan desha dengan denya la chabi de dushireda darwa an tengin zi nyamle ina tengin zi nyamle muntu shoto di chinguri 대한 아니 지원도 거봐 거빌로도 또 착삼고 공도지 렌도스로 대인자 아니 말은서 아니 지금 대한 표정 저버지 유삼니 쇼지 베일이야 아니 참 대와이나 아니 미세디다 아니 개와 상부디 초란로야 년가 여반자 아니 남주 배주다니 진소 파진 쪽이 냠내라 라고 그래 어딘지 송거도
So when this section says that we need to make sure that excellent conditions that we do have do not become adverse conditions for us. It could be, for example, when we look at what happens to us in relation to generosity. So it is said that generosity is an antidote to miserliness. Now, miserliness doesn't arise all the time. It arises in certain situations. So when we have something, miserliness arises, which prevents us from being able to share it, to give it to others. So if we don't have it, if we don't have something, no, we're not going to be miserly with respect to that. We become miserly when we have something, when we have wealth, or we have something that is of value. So miserliness is affiliated, of course, with attachment. So with miserliness, we will be prevented from practicing generosity. So having wealth can be contributing to miserliness, which is contrary to generosity. Also, when we look at how attachment to pleasurable things operates in our life, it makes it difficult with attachment to God pure ethical discipline. One of the great hindrances for practicing pure ethical discipline is the attachment that we have to object of the senses or pleasures of the senses and so forth. Now, also with the cultivation of concentration, there are two main obstructions for cultivating concentration. On one hand, we have mental laxity. On the other hand, we have mental excitation. And this is also affiliated with attachment. Attachment creates this mental excitation that prevents us from developing a deeper level of concentration. And therefore, when this section says that we need to make sure that those excellent conditions, such as having enough resources of wealth and so forth, do not turn to be conditions which are not conducive, we can clearly see how it can be not conducive with the practice of generosity, ethical discipline, concentration, and so forth. So then when we do enjoy a situation of prosperity, when we think that I've got a lot, I've got much, and it depends upon that, we become quite attached to all that wealth, we need to be mindful or weary that that could destroy all the good conditions that we have for practice. And therefore, in relation to that, this explanation of how we need to practice all the 6 perfections from generosity, ethics, and so forth is essential in the context of making sure that the practice is complete in relation to attaining higher status and so forth.
다시럽여나스 갈기 삼비 리진 제부시니 다리엔 균남란 베브디 챔벨튼 졸라 셰럽메난 하사진 제부 롱치비 네세 사드는 메베비 치말라 둥가용 고츠본 규로 대나 깨와 셴도 디르중 종아야 규 메담 규메다 민팀비 규르 문종시 진팅기 규야 름바시 친루등 예소 람기 갑기 롱주 속니 네갑기 온도인라 류 분소 속 타심비 온도니 산지에서는 요도 대단한 도대견에 롱주당 류 부숨 소바당 코즈 부숨 소바 온도당 따도 니무 언니 문조당 자바남라 신주 말로보 시소스.
And so to complete this section, the text says, the wise will understand that the excellences are the effects of previous good actions and will strive for their causes again so that they will increase. The unwise will use the effects previously accumulated and thereby exhaust them. If you do not develop them anew, they will engender suffering in future lives. Hence, in future lives, those 6 perfections will not emerge causelessly nor from a non-concordant cause. Like their respective corresponding causes, the perfections are specified as 6. The wealth and so forth at the time of the path are temporary higher states, while those in ultimate higher states, such as excellent body and so forth, exist on the Buddha ground. Similarly, Ornament for the Mahayana Sutra states, excellent wealth, body, companions, and effort are highest states of the four perfections. To not be controlled by mental afflictions, and to be unmistaken regarding activities are results of the final two.
이번에 대달 땐 대답이 장성기 좁아랄 로바낭 장성기 자원 니수 세대 랑다 신기 된주보고 대한 현된 주발라 토머 상승기 팬도 걸라 대한 심전라 뇌세당 집이 진비 지연 민규비 젠누 시질레 레버 동바니 젠든 첨부임비 수rum 고소스.
And so next, the number is specified from the point of view of the accomplishment of the two welfares reads, when you train in bodhisattva conduct with such a life, there are only two types of bodhisattva activities. Those that accomplish one's own welfare and those that accomplish the welfare of others. Specifically, in order to accomplish the welfare of others, it is necessary to first benefit them with material gifts.
terda jermjigi dandan dinama disungdo asrodi shennu shiji le leber domba ni shendun chembu yimbi sutum goso seti.
So then it says, since generosity is accompanied by harm to sentient beings leads to nothing, it itself is of great benefit to others. Sorry, let's read that again. Since generosity accompanied by harm to sentient beings leads to nothing, it is itself of great benefit to others to completely turn away from actions that harm others together with their basis. Therefore, ethics are necessary.
terda sangi tembi shimade sutum resro sutum sedi shenla neba shedan cheba dombi gi ta lunga ki domba teleya sutum segorara tejidi ta ngoni ge ta tensang ge zamblin la ya ta dili shendun cheji ta mundo asro ma chegi lega kharchina ani rang zamaze shenla ya 아니 네번줘야겠다 내가 짠짠 로 알다뭐 쿠이 코랑 촐라줘야기 아니 내가 쇼체인 거라서 다들이 다 시한 네번 시도 제바 비기 무슨 자와치야 파샤니 지 아니 공동 순전히 아니 동년디 저는 지금 말에 송에다 산이 좀 된다 약식 리와스로 다 딘디지기 제스 죽도 봐는다 다시다 야부 쇼지 까와 상부 쇼지 레도 아스라 간딘드라 상고다 원에 송도도 배 야부도 아스라.
The basis of the Buddha's teaching is ethical discipline, which abstains from harming others and the basis of that harm. And the summation of that ethical discipline that abstains from harming others and the basis of that harm is vows, a sense of restraint, taking vows. So particularly, we can see how relevant it is to this particular day and age. You can say that there is no greater sense of altruism in seeking to benefit others if we take a vow of abstaining from harming others and the basis of that harm. In that we can see how we have now such a great capacity, not only to inflict harm upon others, but also upon the environment that we live in. Not only we have the capacity, we're using our ability to inflict more harm upon others and also upon the environment. And therefore, when we think about the relevance of practicing ethics, and particularly at this point in time, we can come to appreciate its great value. So not only abstaining from harming others, but also from the basis of harming others, which is a negative motivation. So we can begin with our motivation. We can begin kind of with this motivation that is intent on abstaining from harming others. This set of teachings that is found in such a deep way in the Buddhist tradition. Thank you. We might leave the text here for today. Okay. All right. So just a quick kind of a yeah, there was something that Lamrim Kappa said about a young. Yeah, there it is. So what's the go with that?
Young?
Yeah. Otherwise, the excellence will destroy you, just like bamboo and plantain trees are destroyed by bearing fruit, and like a young molly mule is destroyed by pregnancy. What's the goal? Yeah.
Molly.
Yeah. Dila. Shendu mikpa tan chushin rangi jevo chakpa tan chimu je lakpa sayadi. Chimu trumbe lakpa sayadi.
Chimu drumbe lakpa.
Je ti tanto karina.
The simjin di peshe pelamado yosamares. Chasing it, chase. Chase tadojora. Pungudojora. Tayamari punguya mare. Tada pungu nyamdo puguji kiendo. Tada pungu nyamdo give pugudi the chase agrees. The delaya poyer moyer. Tindigi che modelaya modi pugi tugumada. Motion poseterada.
No.
The dealer copanal pugu chasi gosen. Pugu chavana. Shido was the mora. Get to go somebody. Or dealer waters.
Well, Geshe reckons that this reference to a young molly mule that is destroyed by pregnancy is something that is not kind of, it's not something that is that commonly happens. It's kind of quite specific. So where you have a crossbreed between a horse and a donkey, so you have a mule, you have male mules and female mules, it is said that there are the barren, or Geshe reckons that it's not that they're completely incapable of becoming pregnant, but it can be actually quite dangerous to them. They can easily perish or easily die by pregnancy. So Geshe reckons that that's the reference to a young molly mule.
Young the Chinjung Geshe Yumaris.
Dila Jewu. The Jemo Chigulama Jeumo. Tumo
said it, and the Chimodera. She said it.
In a woo said the Chinjun didn't know what Chilagma. In a queue.
The Tumo.
Anyway, kind of the way that the word is written in Tibetan might suggest that it refers to a young molly mule, but Geshe said that it's not necessarily so. It can just refer to a mule. You know, if a female mule becomes pregnant, it can be detrimental to its life. There you go. Molly the mule. Anima check on a common Molly Segirwa.
Yeah.
So Karen is asking, could Geshe give an example of generosity accompanied by harm? Jimbatane Nubala Joya di Pechik Shawina. Penadi
Jimbatan in Nebalandre. Jimbatan in Nebalandre, and the Dinam.
Yamana Penadi Jimba di Layan di Miguel Chigdoyorwa.
Yori.
She's in the Pechik Shawina.
Peshawan, cutting up Labdal Dora. Nindrangan, Jalan Mal, any river Chijua. And the Posaji Gonda Tabate with the Kijiti, Nyasum the Jajiki, pinning Yasim, Kittle Chick. Here, the Digbaro. Jumbatangor, that could make killer Nyategora.
A couple of weeks ago, Geshe was taking some English classes at TEF at Maroochydore, and he stayed for a few days at Morichi, not far from the river. So he was going for walks afternoon, and there was a guy that was walking his dog every day in the afternoon. So he was walking his dog together with a fishing rod. So he was fishing and feeding it to the dog. So you can say that, he's practicing charity to the dog, but through life that he was, that he was taking. So, that's could be maybe kind of a simple or an easy way to think of a negative type of generosity.
It is. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So we will leave the text here for now. We will do the final Lamrim dedication. Just going to find the right page. For my two collections, vastest space that amassed from working with effort as this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of completed graded parts of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time, with my heart going out with great compassion. In whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace. May the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time by even this graded path to enlightenment, completed due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of the lives on the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtues practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.